Sony's E3 2017 press conference. It was a very interesting one. They definitely dropped the ball. I feel like I said before, what to expect from this conference, my predictions, were something along the lines of, they announced so much stuff last year, I don't think they can do it again this year. And we got that. That's exactly what we got. No, nothing special about it. That was exactly what we got. Like, basically all the games that they announced last year that were clearly more than a year out from releasing, we got, and they were indeed more than a year out. They are releasing in 2018, a good chunk of them. Honestly, some of the best stuff that they announced was outside of the conference. This is not necessarily related, but it is going to be on PlayStation 4. Kingdom Hearts 3 got a trailer a couple nights ago. That looked awesome. Hot Shots Golf, or Everybody's Golf it's called now, actually looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. It is a cartoony golf game with a lot of extra stuff to do. It's not just golf, it's a long-running franchise. That looks pretty cool. Crash Bandicoot, I mean, that's only coming out in a couple weeks, if that. It's like barely at all. It's very, very soon. And the new trailer looked awesome. The game is looking to be really, really good. There's still stuff that we probably don't know, considering we finally got to see playable Coco in Crash 1. This got leaked a little while ago, but it was nice to finally see it, and I can't wait to see more, because, oh, the model that they used, the new Coco looks adorable with her on her laptop. It looks amazing, and I cannot wait to see her in cutscenes. So that's going to be awesome. They also showed Knack 2 afterwards. I mean, that's the meme, right? Haha, Knack 2. I don't know why that wasn't in the conference. That would at least get a chuckle out of people like it did when you first revealed it. It's just, I'm looking at the list here, and it's just weird. Obviously, my pipe dream stuff was Crash Team Racing and Spyro the Dragon getting remade. Which does not to say that still won't happen. Luckily, Sony has multiple conferences throughout the year. They have one in Japan, and then they also have their PlayStation Experience in December. Which they announced the dates like the minute before Sony's conference went live. And it seems like a bit of an omen. Hey guys, before you get upset, we got something else coming out in 6 months. That's sort of how I interpreted it. I don't know if they're that clever marketing-wise, because I don't know how many people even saw the tweet. That was the first thing that came to my mind. This is a bad list. Okay, so and the thing is, my problem with this conference was so many games that aren't coming out this year, and it seems like they're going to have a really, really lackluster first-party holiday year. You have Uncharted coming out, and Uncharted Lost Legacy looks great. Uncharted 4 was awesome. So we're getting a little bit more of that, despite not having Nathan Drake. That's going to be awesome. It's not a full-fledged Uncharted game, even though they're sort of marketing it as that. I think it's a lower priced. It's not a main $60 title. It's going to be shorter. And if you pre-order it, it comes with a Jak and Daxter, which is those games are getting ported to PS4, so that's neat. But that's not a full game. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a huge, at least that's what it seems like. It's not supposed to be a major adventure. It's just a little spin-off, maybe 6-hour adventure, I'm assuming. They're marketing it as if it's Uncharted 5 without Nathan Drake. But at least it's coming out this year. If I'm looking at the list, Horizon DLC, I don't think had a date, which looked pretty cool. I mean, I haven't played Horizon. I know I should, because everyone seems to love Horizon, so more DLC, that's great. More stuff to play. Days Gone, I feel like, even though I'm interested somewhat in Horizon, the whole open world thing is getting very tired to me. I joke about it now, but whenever you see like some sort of reticle that has other icons surrounding the reticle, pointing you in different directions to go do different missions and fetch quests and stuff, it's getting very tired at this point, I feel. And I'm sure some of the games are great in small doses, but there are so many of these games coming out, it seems, from really big developers. And Days Gone, I'm sure, is going to have plenty of quality to it, but it's the open world stuff tied with zombies. And zombies in 2017, I'm sorry for those of you who love zombies, and I like The Walking Dead, but other than that, I can't. I'm not interested in zombies. And it's impressive how many zombies are on the screen at one time. That's the one thing they're touting. but it doesn't look that great. I like, arguably, the most exciting announcement of the show was Monster Hunter World. I'm not a big Monster Hunter guy, but if there was something that some people can consider to be overly exciting, I'm glad it was a series that's well known as Monster Hunter. So now there's a Monster Hunter game coming out on every console. You got PS4, Xbox, and PC, which seems like a big deal for Monster Hunter World. And Double Cross, I'm assuming, is going to get announced for localization very, very soon for Switch and 3DS. I'm only interested in Monster Hunter Stories, which is a proper RPG, it looks like, and cartoony, which is right up my alley. So I'm happy people are happy, and I don't know why it's called World. It looked like a regular Monster Hunter game to me, with more glowy bits. That was the only thing that seemed to set it off for me. And then they announced Shadow of the Colossus, which, okay, 100% on board with that. It just seems very random. Very out of nowhere. I would imagine a game with such a caliber of Shadow of the Colossus would have a little bit more hype surrounding it. And I guess maybe it just, for me, it got a little bit muddled down with the rest of the conference, because the rest of the conference, there were no surprises. So to randomly throw in, hey, we are remastering for real this time, not just up-resing the textures on PlayStation 3. We are fully remastering with, it looked like new cutscenes, a new lighting engine. It looked gorgeous. I'm on board. And just watching it was like, really? Shadow of the Colossus, huh? That's weird. And if there's new content, completely sold. If it's just the same game with new graphics, that kind of sucks. If you look online, there's a lot of stuff that got removed. And you could argue that you don't want to mess with the original game. But at this rate, the original game is still perfectly fine. That adding stuff doesn't seem like that big of a deal. They couldn't make them optional. It was just a very weird announcement. That, for me, was the most exciting. That, for me, and at least they were back-to-back, right? So you had that one 20-minute chunk, not even 20-minute, 7-minute chunk of really awesome game announcements, bam and bam. And then they showed Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which, I'm sorry, MVC fans, it looked kind of crap. I'm sure the fighting engine is totally fine, and again, for, like, I know for fighting games, that's all people care about. That's most of the stuff people care about. But the character models were so bad. What is that? And also, honestly, whenever Capcom wants to make a game that has Mega Man in it, in any iteration, and they refuse to do anything with Mega Man as a franchise, I get a little upset. I know, you know, sometimes you see people who don't want to support games for different reasons here and there. Doesn't matter what they could be, you just see something and you're like, I don't know if I want to play the game anymore. That's how I feel with Capcom. If they were to do something with Mega Man X, maybe I would care a little bit more that they're bringing him back to life and giving him full voice acting for a fighting game. It's the same deal with Strider. Well, actually, no, there was a Strider game recently. I can't even talk about that. Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, I don't think he's had a game anytime soon. The Marvel stuff is the most relevant. That's just me wanting Capcom franchises to live. Also, Phoenix Wright got taken out of the roster, and therefore, I really don't care, because I was almost tempted to buy MVC3 just because I am a massive Ace Attorney fanboy. So that's gone. Honestly, everything else I can just sort of skim past. Call of Duty, it had to be somewhere at E3, and Microsoft wasn't going to have it. So they have to pay someone, right? Activision needs to pay somebody to get their trailer on there. And I guess Sony was like, hey, we'll take the money, here's the trailer. I haven't cared about Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. And I thought they were going to remaster that after remastering the first one, but I guess not. So, there's Call of Duty, then there's a bunch of VR stuff, which was clearly not meant to sell people on VR. It was to justify the people who already purchased a PlayStation VR. Because they were doing Skyrim again. And we just saw Skyrim yesterday for the Switch. And okay, this is what the perspective I put on this is I finally understand how people viewed Atlas milking the hell out of Persona 4 when everyone wanted Persona 5, right? It's the same exact scenario. Persona fans don't have to deal with that anymore. Elder Scrolls fans do. They're just gonna keep making different versions of Elder Scrolls, Skyrim rather, and we'll get Elder Scrolls, I think 6 in 2 years, I'm guessing. Okay, nothing else for VR seemed to make sense. Like, Star Child looked neat. It was a cool 2D platformer with a character that looked very much like Tracer from Overwatch. But it's a 2D platformer, why do I need VR? They didn't show anything in the trailer that would look beneficial with VR. The same thing can be said about another game I am interested in, Moss, which is basically mouse. I'm forgetting the name of the book. There's a book where a mouse goes on adventures, and I feel foolish for forgetting it. But it just seems like that, but a full-on like adventure game. But why is it VR? Hopefully it's not VR exclusive. I don't know how PlayStation VR games work. I just assume they're all exclusive because the game is built around it. If Moss is not exclusive, then you have one more game to add to the list of things I'm excited for. But you can fish in Final Fantasy 15 and do it's whatever. God of War looked really cool. Again, I don't think it's for me. It looks a lot cooler than it did last year. But I have plenty of time to wait to make my decision because it's coming out 2018 like basically everything else. Detroit. 2018. Destiny 2 is coming out this year. They pushed up the release date. That was an amazing thing to watch. I'm not a big Destiny guy, but seeing them push up the release date in the midst of everything coming out in 2018 was a sight of beauty right there. And then they ended with Spider-Man, which looked amazing. I'm a huge fan of Insomniac. That's the only reason why I want to get an Xbox One is because, again, I said this yesterday, they refuse to port Sunset Overdrive. That's all I want. I want to play more Insomniac games. And Spider-Man is amazing. I love Spider-Man. So I'm totally on board with this. And then I saw it's coming out 2018. I thought at the very least that would come out this year. But no. I have to wait a few more months for that. And this is... okay, here's how things are going to look in the overall scheme of things, right? So last year was amazing. This year was not. They sort of evened each other out. Right? So now, at the very least, when next year comes around, we don't have to go into Sony's conference with the highest of stupid expectations. Because that's what happened this year. Like, oh, it's going to be another year of dreams. They're going to announce dream games. Gabe Newell's going to come out and announce Half-Life 3. It's going to happen. No, we're going to get put right back to normal. Next year will be an entirely different story. Fingers crossed. But my thing is, not necessarily games that are missing in the sense of, hey, why don't you just have more games? Haha. There are games that are just explicitly missing that are currently MIA. We still have no idea what Sucker Punch is working on. That seemed like a guarantee. I can't believe we don't know what Sucker Punch is working on now. The last thing they worked on was an Infamous DLC. It was Infamous First Light, I believe it was called. They didn't do an indie reel, which they typically always do. They always like to promote indies at their events, and it makes no sense why they wouldn't at least dedicate 5 minutes to indies. It was a very weird conference. It was not a bad conference. The stuff they showed was good. So that's obviously a positive, but I can't believe that it's the first time in so long where Microsoft had a better conference than Sony. But then also I don't care about the Xbox One X, because a lot of the games they showed are also going to be on PlayStation 4. The lines are blurred so much in terms of where these games are releasing. But just in terms of the conference, it's the weakest Sony conference in 5 years, I think. Because you can always argue what makes a good conference. I think surprises definitely do. But you see, that's the problem with what Sony does in announcing games 2+ years ahead of time. There's no Last of Us. They announced that last year, or at PlayStation Experience, but apparently it's nowhere near ready to show. So I guess we're going to see it at PlayStation Experience this year in December, which makes me think it's not going to come out until 2019. It's just, it's a weird business model that's worked out well for them in the past. They're gonna take a little bit of flack for this, but I'm sure they'll rebound. The moral of the story is, Crash Bandicoot comes out in like 2 weeks. It's gonna be the best PlayStation 4 game of the year, and now we just have to wait for Nintendo in like a few hours, and then it's over. So E3 has been a weird one this time around, and hopefully Nintendo going 25 minutes isn't going to be the death of all that we hope and dream. Fingers crossed, I guess. Stay tuned for my recap on Nintendo's thing later on today. And, yeah. I'm gonna go rewatch the Crash Bandicoot trailer because I'm super hyped. Bye-bye!